this was any other situation, I would open this video by saying that there is a lot on the line for the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. As a matter of fact, their entire regular season, their entire playoffs is on the line tonight in this game 6. But if you only had an idea of the amount of drama that unfolded today, there's so much drama that led up to this point on both teams, the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns, and some of it was absolutely unnecessary. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before in my entire life. Some of the context of the situation doesn't make sense to me. The timing of some of this information doesn't make sense to me. And this is a guy that's been reporting NBA news for almost 2 years now. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here. And real quick, before we get to the content, I just want to let you guys know that my podcast, Laced Up, is giving away a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X once we get to 40,000 subscribers to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on that channel. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. A lot of people that are trying to become YouTubers ask me how I make sure that my audio levels are in check, because typically the biggest mistake YouTubers make is one audio level will be significantly higher than the other, and you'll either not hear the soundtrack or the voice would be too loud, and it could even possibly peak and hurt the viewer's ears. An essential part of my protocol is wearing Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds. You see, Raycon's earbuds gives me the right idea of what the viewer is listening to while completely isolating all the other noise around me. The best part is they are probably the most inexpensive earbud on the market and provide 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design for a comfortable noise isolating fit. They are literally half the price of other premium audio brands, which is why if you're an editor, you really need to get these earbuds. You can customize them in a range of fun colors and patterns, and this is something I absolutely adore about them. Any brand that is so confident in their product to give you a 45-day free return policy is clearly giving you a good product. So go into the description down below or go to buyraycon.com/FlightMike to get 15% off of your Raycon purchase. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Before we get to this analysis, before we talk about how Devin Booker had more Mamba mentality in him in one quarter than all of the Lakers combined, before we get to Anthony Davis saying that he was going to be active for tonight, but unfortunately that didn't end up materializing, I have to tell you about how this day started, because this had to be one of the most bizarre sequences of events that I have ever seen while covering this type of information. So the day started with us getting information in regards to Chris Paul's contract situation. I don't know why CP3 thought it was appropriate here to come out and say, hey, I'm going to decline my player option this year, which is going to pay me $44 million for the next year, and essentially become a free agent this offseason. The report also stated that it was very likely that CP3 will sign a 3-year, $100 million contract extension with the Phoenix Suns. And honestly, unless there was some sort of crazy plot twist, I really don't see why the Suns wouldn't extend Chris Paul. Yeah, it's a little terrifying extending a player into his late 30s. We saw what happened with Al Horford, but still, it's still very interesting information to drop right out of nowhere, because this can still be interpreted as, oh wow, Chris Paul might not return to the Phoenix Suns. The Suns also came out and said that DeAndre Ayton is set to get a max contract extension, which to be honest is just a mere formality. This is the #1 overall pick in the 2018 NBA draft, so that's kind of stuff that we expected. But the most bizarre thing that was hitting social media today, prior to any other information of this game, was Dennis Schroeder used to have point guard of the Los Angeles Lakers in his Instagram bio. And here's the thing with Dennis Schroeder that you guys have to understand. His entire tenure with the Los Angeles Lakers has been tumultuous at best. Bear in mind that when the year started, Dennis Schroeder came in and said that he demanded to start, which was already a slight red flag, but then the Los Angeles Lakers offered him an $80 million contract extension that he famously turned down because he wanted a $100 million contract extension. And of course, Mike Korzemba, who for some reason likes bagging on the Lakers at any chance that he gets, made a video claiming that Dennis Schroeder is secretly trying to sabotage LeBron James and the Lakers. It has to do with maybe him being the person that unveiled that LeBron James wasn't vaccinated at first. I don't know. I don't want this to take a crazy left turn. I just wanted to tell you how crazy today was leading up to this game. Didn't know if that warranted a separate video. I figured I was going to make a video no matter what tonight, so I sandwiched all of that information in there. So let's get to what actually went on in this game. So many Laker fans were filled with so much hope and optimism when we found out that KCP and Anthony Davis will be playing tonight. But just a few minutes in, after 5 minutes, Anthony Davis just didn't look right. The man was grabbing his groin a ton, and for the sake of Anthony Davis's longevity, he had to be ruled out for the game. He didn't look like he should be out there at all. And right away, I knew we were in trouble at that point because it seemed like the Lakers were really looking for another person to step up, but there really wasn't anyone that could step up. And then you combine that with the fact that Devin Booker was absolutely on fire. I mean, literally going for 22 points, only missing one shot and 6 for 6 from 3, while the Lakers were only able to get 14 points up after the first quarter, including 5 points from LeBron James off of 2 of 5 shooting, 40% from the field, and well, you already knew that it was going to be an extremely long night. By the end of the second quarter, the Phoenix Suns had 62 points, while the Lakers had 43, and once again, LeBron James, 14 points, 4 of 9 from the field, 44%. And at that point, I'm not going to lie, things were beginning to look extremely grim for the Los Angeles Lakers, because if LeBron James isn't getting any of his shooters going and doesn't have Anthony Davis to lean on or another scorer to pick up the slack, this is the man whose game literally predicates upon his teammates being able to hit open shots. And while you're getting players like Dennis Schroeder going 1 for 6 from the field, shooting 17% from the field in general, or Kyle Kuzma that is shooting 25% from the field, and your best player that you could lean on is, shout out to KCP, 57% from the field, well, things were gonna look kind of nasty. And then you factor in the fact that the Phoenix Suns were absolutely making it rain from 3, and they were hungry and motivated to knock out the Los Angeles Lakers, and well, things got really ugly after the first half. Now, I don't know what Frank Vogel said to the Los Angeles Lakers at halftime to get them to come out and play the way they did, because to be honest, going into the half, I thought it was completely hopeless. I thought it was extremely bleak. I thought there was no way the Lakers would come back. As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny because on the podcast I said this: if LeBron James is the greatest of all time, shouldn't he be able to win at least one game without AD against the Phoenix Suns? Hell, win a half at Staples Center without AD, despite being up.
Yo,
I'm not.
You know what, NBA? This is what happens when you give a freaking Lakers fan LeBron James.
But in this instance, I saw such tremendous leadership from LeBron James and Frank Vogel that I was absolutely in awe of the performance the Lakers put on in the second half, because it didn't look like they were ghost walking. All of a sudden, Dennis Schroeder, as much as I did clown him on social media, he was giving effort and energy on the defensive end. LeBron James was playing with more energy and attacking the rim and attacking Devin Booker as well. The Lakers increased their tempo and also made the switch to small ball once DeAndre Ayton went out, and at one point they were even able to trim the lead to 12 points throughout the entire quarter. But if you want a good idea of what was said, listen to what Frank Vogel said to the Lakers in the middle of the third quarter.
Possession after possession, okay? Chip away, we need singles, okay? Swing for singles, 2 points at a time, 2 points at a time. Stop after stop, okay, and we chip away. Okay, it's a long basketball game. We all know this.
And to the fourth quarter we go. The Lakers were able to cut the lead all the way down to 10 points, and things were beginning to look really good until LeBron James had to take a breather on the bench, which allowed Chris Paul to find Mikal Bridges for a three-pointer and, of course, hit the Lakers with a quick mid-range two to push the Phoenix Suns back up by 17. Through it all, it seemed like the moment that LeBron James went to the bench, the Los Angeles Lakers were absolutely lost. And while Devin Booker was doing a phenomenal job opening up the game, it was Chris Paul that was doing a remarkable job showing off his veteran savviness by closing out the game, finding the open man, getting people involved, but not forcing the issue. The Lakers would eventually wind up losing Game 6, and to be honest, I thought it was a very noble showing in the second half, and I'm honestly not going to hold this one against them that badly, because this was a season where they were literally not allowed that much rest. Obviously, if Anthony Davis goes out with an injury, that mismatch at center and that starting five that features Anthony Davis was pretty much the Lakers' entire advantage throughout the playoffs. They just couldn't get healthy at the right time, just like a lot of teams this year. It would have been really cool to see a 7th seed potentially make a run and potentially win a NBA championship, but at the end of the day, there was just way too many odds stacked against the Lakers, and LeBron James couldn't do it alone. That's not to say that this is going to tarnish the man's legacy, because this is a man that literally returned prematurely from an ankle injury, had his teammate return way too quickly from a groin injury, and bear in mind, Dennis Schroeder literally returned a few games prior to the NBA play-in himself. So the stars just couldn't align for the Los Angeles Lakers at the right time to be as competitive as they possibly could be. But if I was to say that was the main reason the Los Angeles Lakers lost today, that would be a huge insult to the Phoenix Suns. And I got a lot of slack for this when I made this call on Twitter. This is one of the most complete teams I've ever seen, and probably one of the most beautifully constructed teams I've ever seen. Bear in mind, they went 8-0 in the bubble, and then after that, they added Jay Crowder in the offseason and traded for a veteran leader in Chris Paul and reunited him with the coach that coached him in the middle of his prime in Monty Williams. You add in the fact that they have DeAndre Ayton, who is probably their third option as the #1 overall pick in the 2018 NBA draft, and this is just a fantastic team. So the fact that the Lakers had to play this good of a team this soon, combined with the fact that they couldn't get healthy, is the reason they lost. And the fact that the Phoenix Suns were considered to be the underdog throughout this entire game is laughable to say the least. Just bear in mind, when the Golden State Warriors lost in the NBA Finals against LeBron James, despite going 73-9, well, they were able to get Kevin Durant, reload, and come back stronger than ever the year after. And hopefully, the Lakers sense some urgency as a result of what happened to them in this year's NBA playoffs. I want to give a shout out to Devin Booker, 47 points, 15 of 22 shooting, 8 of 10 from 3 is just a phenomenal achievement. I want to congratulate Phoenix Suns fans, and honestly, I'm not too upset at my Lakers because they fought like hell in the second half and they did what they could. You might be wondering, what does this loss mean for LeBron James's legacy? Well, speaking as a guy that is primarily a Laker fan and not so much a LeBron fan, I'm mainly a LeBron fan because, well, he's on the Los Angeles Lakers. I was rooting against him when he was on the Miami Heat. I was rooting against him during his first stint when he was on the Cavaliers. I was rooting for him during his second stint. This doesn't really do much to tarnish LeBron James's legacy, in my opinion. I just feel like there's just way too much that went wrong for him. What was he supposed to do? Go against the second seed in the West, coming off of a hurt ankle without his second best player? Bear in mind, this is a guy that's heavily dependent upon his teammates to succeed. He's not like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant that would typically take over games with his scoring. He typically takes over games by getting his teammates involved in addition to dominant scoring. So I don't think we're going to be thinking of this much, just as we're probably not going to be holding the fact that Steph Curry lost against the Toronto Raptors in the NBA Finals against him, or the fact that he wasn't able to make a run without Klay Thompson this year against him either. But that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.